Do you know that you're loved? And do those around you know that you love them? That's what I'm going to talk about here for a few minutes. If you can, though, like, subscribe, share, and comment. Helps me out to know people are watching, people are liking it, or people are hating it, and I can make adjustments. So when I was growing up, I had your typical middle-class family, grew up in the 70s and the 80s, best decades in the world to grow up in. And, typical middle class, two older sisters. And what I found, and it only probably was on more reflection as I got older, that we were not a very affectionate family, nor did we ever really say, I love you. But it wasn't, I knew I was taken care of. I knew there was comfort. I knew I had everything I needed. My parents would always be there. We knew all that. But I think in looking back, I can't say that I really had the security to know, in fact, that I was loved. And, I think about that. I think the intent, and I think this is a lot of people's intent, is, people, they just know it. They're just aware that they know I love them. And that's fine, to that degree. But from my own experience, I think I would have been more confident and more secure knowing that I was loved had that been said more often, had I experienced it, had there been levels of affection that were there for it. I think that was just something where, because it was difficult and because it was lacking, I'm not sure that I felt it. I'm not sure that it was there. And again, not everything's a feeling, but it was difficult because there were some different times in life where had opportunities as I'm getting to be a young adult and learning these different things and seeing these different things. There was one opportunity. It was great for my not my baptismal day, for my bachelor party. A bunch of my friends got together. It was great. For us, it was women have a shower, so men have a bath. So I got thrown in a pool with all my clothes on. That was great. That was before cell phones. So that was fun. And but what it was is my friends sat around and they honored me. And if you've never been honored, what it is you take a few minutes and you think about and pray about what are some of the positives that people that people bring to the table. They're organized. They're seeking holiness. They're striving the right way. They're responsible. They take care of their family. Those are the kinds of things you kind of look at the person's life and take a few minutes. And I think the difficulty was that I was told by family members, I was kind of like, I never got honored by my family members. And it was said that, but your friends honored you. And that was a little tough. I'll be honest. As I kind of reflected on that, I went, but was a missed opportunity that I could have been honored by some of my family members who I would have really, liked being honored by, even though it might have been uncomfortable. So fast forward, probably almost close to 29, 30 years go by, and I'm sitting with some family members, and this was after Karen had died, and, out of the blue, they took a few minutes to kind of encourage me and honor me and say these different things, which I appreciated. But you also have to know that it was very uncomfortable because it was just not something I was used to. It literally was 50 some odd years in the making. And, in that relationship, that's just not what I was used to. So that's a little challenging. So, I know Karen and we did a better job, in my opinion, of telling each other that we loved each other, tried to encourage each other. Doesn't mean we were perfect by any means. We certainly had our downfalls. We certainly had our issues. And, there were times we didn't do it right. And as a matter of fact, there were times we probably really discouraged each other and dishonored each other. And that's okay. And but we always tried to repent, come back to each other, forgive each other. And I do really look back and say that our marriage was an amazing marriage. And I think that was a part of it. And while we didn't do it perfectly with our children, I do feel that we tried to do it more. Doesn't mean it was perfect. It doesn't mean we got it right. But we try to do it more. And I even think now I try to tell people that I love them more often. I try to encourage people, and certainly some people it's more difficult, friends or whatever. But even when I'm with friends or I'm maybe, talking to a younger guy who I'm mentoring, I try to always leave them with something positive, something encouraging, so that it's not just, having these issues or whatever. I had breakfast with a friend of mine this morning, and there were a few different moments I was able to kind of really just encourage him and tell him what I liked about him and the things he brings, the things that he's able to help other people with, and, just his personality and just the things along those lines. So it can be as simple as that. And I think sometimes it's a shift in our attitude that I think we can get so pragmatic that, we're focused on getting things done. And I think we can also look at what's going wrong. And, here's all the things. Of course, they know I love them, but here's where things can be improved. And the difficulty is if all you hear is the negative, or if all you hear is what needs to be improved, and you don't hear the positive, it's very hard to hear the positive, kind of like in my case. And, I really would encourage if that's something that you think you can do more of, maybe you do a great job of it. And I'm not talking about that fake, overly gushy kind of thing, because you can read that, you can see that from 10 miles away. Oh, you're so good. That can be a nicety. What I'm more talking about is that a little bit more intimate, a little bit more in depth for somebody. Because isn't that what we want to hear from folks? Don't we want to hear the positive impact that we're having on people? So, for me, just if I left it with you on this, think about it for yourself. Do you know that you're loved by your family, by those around you? And maybe not. And that's something you can certainly take to God and just say, hey, I'm struggling here, because we're supposed to be like Jesus. And at least 2 times in the Bible that we heard, Jesus was called the beloved son. And that's how the Lord thinks of us as well. So that's something to bring to prayer, talk to different people about. And it's a little bit challenging thing to talk about. I don't feel loved. But it's real. That is a real feeling. And if you don't feel it, if that's nothing that you've experienced, I think that's a good thing to talk about. And I think the one thing that we can all change is I think we can do a better job of telling those around us that we love them, that we encourage them, and that be positive with them. Don't ignore the negative if there are things that need to be corrected, but also I'd say put less of a focus on that, put more of a focus on the positive. You'll see better results. When people know that they're loved, they're much easier to listen to criticisms and things they can change, as opposed to that's all they hear. I know that for me. It's my own experience. If all I hear from you is negativity, well, I guess I'm never going to get anything right, am I? But if I hear a lot of positivity and I hear a few, then I'll be like, great, that's awesome. I can fix that. I can work on that. Thank you for sharing that with me. So just to leave that with you, do you know that you're loved? And do those around you know that they are loved? And I think that we can all make improvements in this area. Like, subscribe, share, and comment, and I'll see you at the next one.